Welcome to MSP Unplugged, Tech Talk. Brian Morris of Morris Tech Team. I'm your host, Jeff Hallish. It's our live show where we discuss different ways to run your IT business, whether it's managed services, consulting, break fix, or anything in between. Let me introduce the co-hosts. We have with us the great and talented John Dubinsky. John, how you doing?
Jeff, I've got you 5x5. I just feel lucky to be here.
Good to have you, man. And also excited to have Brian Morris from Morris Tech Team. Brian, how you doing?
Great. How are you, Jeff?
I am doing excellent. All right, so let's go ahead and before we get started into the meat of the podcast, let's get started and do a little call to action. And that would be talking about my favorite subject, and that would be TechCon Unplugged 2021. September 17th to the 19th, 2021 at the Loft Hotel in Rosemont, Illinois, right outside of Chicago. Learn from amazing panels to help maintain and improve your business. Meet vendors to find products and services that can save you time and money. You can also rub elbows with your peers in the community. If you get your tickets now before they sell out for only $199, what does $199 get you? John, what does $199 get you for this this gala event?
A whole lot. And really, instead of the normal stuff we say here, besides all your meals and all that in your ticket and all that kind of stuff, I mean, I'm like itching. We got some cool stuff to really announce here in the next couple of weeks. We got something coming on Friday that I'm super excited about, that I know a lot of guys and gals are going to be excited about. Just brought on a couple more vendors. As soon as that ink dries, I think they're the type of vendors that are going to add a lot to the conference, not just a vendor presence. So I'm really excited about Friday. I can't wait to drop that one. I think we're actually going to put an extra show in the feed just to talk about everything that's coming. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Very cool. And I'm going to give my little extra call to action here. I'm going to tell you right now that if you are building your business, or if you've been building your business for many, many years, there's always something new to learn. And I know for probably the last year and a half, people are really itching to get to that in-person contact again. And I'm going to encourage you, if you're on the fence about coming to an event like this, I can guarantee you one thing: you're going to learn something and you're going to have a good time, because there's no way that you can't. The way we've done this, it's very just very low key, but it's also we've pumped in a lot of good vendors that are going to be there you can talk to and get a feel for what they have or what might help you and your business. Plus, you'll get to talk to other people that have been building the business for long periods of time, or even have just started out. But you always get good ideas from the interaction of real people. And that's why we're excited, and that's why we're doing this event. So I encourage you, if you're on the fence, invest in you. And it's very important. If you want to build a business, you're going to need to invest in you. If you want to get a job out there, you probably, in today's day and age, you probably need to go to college or trade school or something along those lines. But you're going to get educated in order to do whatever you're going to do in life. And I encourage everyone, for $199, you're well taken care of for the weekend. It's tax deductible, travel, expenses, all that kind of stuff, your hotel room. And the deals that we got, you're not going to find too many conferences that are really, I would say, lower price. And I don't mean that in a bad way. Paco has been amazing, especially in the Chicago area, to work some fantastic deals for free parking at the hotel and all the things that you think of coming to Chicago. So you're not going to have any of that. You can come in, fly into the airport, get a shuttle right to the hotel. You're right there. It's easy peasy. If you're driving in, hey, park in a parking lot. You're not paying for parking. I think rooms are like $124 a night, which is extremely cheap, especially in today's day and age. It's a great opportunity. But again, it's also tax deductible, because if you're building your business, you probably have a tax burden. And if you don't, you're probably doing something wrong. So you probably need to work on that. We should all pay our taxes. It's the American way. I don't know about other countries. I just know here we got to pay our taxes. So anyways, I encourage everyone to go to techconunplugged.com and pick up your tickets today. Just do it. Give it a shot. And I guarantee you're going to enjoy what you're going to get out of it. All right.
I want to add to that, Jeff,
Go ahead.
too. One thing you didn't mention, I'll talk about that a little bit more later, but this is put on, this is not a vendor show that's put on by vendors that tries to entice business owners to come. This is put on by business owners like us. And it's for our benefit, not for the vendor's benefit, but you invite vendors to come to just help us learn and see what products are out there. But it's put on by MSP owners.
That is awesome. And I'm glad you brought that up because I couldn't have said it better myself. Thank you, Brian. Okay, so let's go ahead and go into the meat and potatoes of the show. We're talking to Brian Morris today. And Brian, let's go ahead and start off with something basic. And I already said it several times, but what's your name?
My name is Brian Morris. I'm in the suburbs of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and I'm in my 21st year of business.
Nice. Okay, 21 years. That's awesome.
That's right.
I did read a little bit about your bio, and obviously we're going to get into this a little bit, but you started as a part-time tech, just kind of doing this on the side and built your business into something that's basically went full-time.
Yeah, that's right. So I started out so my education is actually in finance, and I started out in an office full of financial advisors back in 2000. And so for those of you that have been in the business for that long, think back to what it was like, Windows 98, maybe even some Windows 95, some other things, OS2 maybe even, token ring maybe, and whenever it was time to do upgrades or changes, the company that I was with would ship out CDs, and then they would ship out little phone books of instructions, and then inevitably there would be 1, 2, 4 mistakes in there where they missed a step or they just didn't do something right. So I was in an office of maybe 30, 35 people. And it was just so hard that I started helping people because that's just naturally what I enjoy to do. I like to help people. And so I think it was January 1st of 2001 where somebody else in the office said, listen, you're helping all these people. You need to charge them for it. So I did. I started charging a certain amount a month. I think it was $35 a month or something, something ridiculous. And it started from there. And then the person that employed me was really flexible and was really nice. And I would just turn in the amount of hours that I worked for him, and then I would do my own thing otherwise. And he didn't quite have enough work for me to do. So it worked out really well for both of us. And then in 2004, think back, everybody, there was a huge wave of Windows XP kind of deadlines because Windows 98 second edition was at the end of the road. And so I took that opportunity where I started, I think I had maybe a flat rate. And I said, I'll upgrade your computer for you instead of doing the big manual and getting super overwhelmed. It was a little sleeve of maybe 8 CDs or 10 CDs. So I made a checklist and kind of systematized things, even though it was very time consuming. And then I did a bunch of direct mail then. So this is getting in to a little bit of marketing, and I just marketed other people in that same company in the surrounding areas. And I picked up a bunch of clients then. I picked up in a similar way in 2008, whenever it was time to think about replacing computers in that cycle. And by 2010, I was 100% on my own, one-man band for 9 more years past that.
So you're telling me during that time when the economy was in a downturn, you actually were building your business and actually went from part-time to full-time during that period of time of 2007, 2008 into 2010 when it started picking back up.
Very much so. I mean, it was a really tough time. It was financially, it was bad for me because project work kind of went away a little bit like last year. People got scared. But I made it, we made it through. So, yeah.
Very cool. Now I have a little opinion question that I'm going to throw in here and just get your opinion on. And that is, so back in the day when you were working with Windows 98 and you had your iterations every few years, however many it was, I know people would hold on to, probably XP was the longest held on operating system of all time. As a matter of fact, I just got an email from a gentleman who uses a specific software, and he has an XP machine that he can't get hooked up to the network. And I'm like, well, we probably shouldn't be doing that, but he has a specific use for it. So it's one of those things I do help out with every once in a while still.
Yeah, me too.
Moving forward, we've got Windows 10 and we've got the new Windows 11 that Microsoft has kind of been, telling about a little bit in, little ads and things in articles that have been coming up over the past couple of weeks. But in your opinion, going from an operating system that you basically had to replace every few years, whatever, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, whatever years it was, versus something that just kind of just moves along and has a new, maybe a new upgrade every 6 months to a year. Do you think it's better or worse now that the operating systems are just in this kind of digital form that just kind of keeps growing and growing?
I think overall it's much better. You end up, if you think about Apple, remember back all the way to 2008, 9, 10, and I think maybe with the original iPhone they were going to charge for maybe iOS 2 or whatever they called it at that time, but they made the decision that they didn't want to end up supporting 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 operating systems and having to struggle with that. So they were just going to make it so they gave away all operating systems for free. I guess Macs did something similar. I'm not as familiar, but so it's been really great over the last how many years? 7 years with 8 years with Windows 10, where there isn't these people that are straggling behind that are having the old operating system and then end up, like you were saying, Jeff, with Windows XP and they just linger, or Windows 7 and they linger. And for those of us in the business, just think about how many computers, at least in my case, think about how many computers you've upgraded to Windows 10 and continued people using them so they don't end up with this old, out of date, insecure operating system. We end up with a more secure ecosystem altogether. So I think overall, because of that, it's been really good. Now, I don't really understand Microsoft's motivations for doing Windows 11. I'm kind of taking a wait and see approach. Are they really going to say 5th or 6th or 7th, whatever generation of Intel processors, and you have to be that new? Are they really going to say TPM for sure? If they are going to say TPM, why? So I'm not making any judgment calls until they finalize some of their decisions. But on the flip side, I think I mentioned this on Facebook recently, it might be a good time, though, to start getting rid of some of the 8, 9, 10, 11-year-old computers that are still hanging around out there.
That's a good point. John, kind of same question. What's your thought process on the OS's change over the last few years?
I mean, I really like the fact that Windows 10 has been around so long. I kind of dislike the fact that Windows 11 is here, just from the aspect of it's just, a prettier Windows 10. It's just some new, Chrome. We added some mud flaps and, a light bar on the back and all that kind of cool stuff. I'm all for them drawing a line in the sand to say that we are no longer supporting this generation of processor moving forward. Maybe not totally cutting it off, but saying, hey, there's no new Windows for you, but we'll do security updates until 2025. And then, come on, you got to buy a new PC. It's just, the way it is. And if they want to move forward with 11 and say, okay, you need a TPM and all that kind of stuff, let's just do it, in my opinion. Let's draw that line in the sand and move forward. I can't imagine, Brian made a great point of how difficult it is for Microsoft to drag everything behind them for all this time. And, I don't like it from the aspect of just maintaining a modern desktop, a simplified desktop for users. Meaning, why do I need to have Windows Media Player, old Windows 7 version on the PC, along with the modern media player, along with Microsoft Music, which will play media, along with the movie maker, which will play videos. Let's just figure something out that one thing that, is a modern thing. I'm all for having some place where those things can be added if you need them or you like them better. But let's just trim that operating system from 700 gigabytes to 650 to make everybody happy. I'm all for drawing some lines in the sand like Apple does. Not that I'd say that I think they do everything right either, but just from an MSP managing desktops for business use, it just seems the ProShares version should be for professionals, and professionals can add that stuff back in if they want.
That's a good point. And I've been using the Pro version even for personal stuff for many, many years now. And to be honest with you, it does everything I need it to do. It's got some better features as far as BitLocker and stuff like that, but I don't know. I'm with you, John. They probably should simplify things a little bit and get rid of all that, what we would call back in the day, bloatware, things you don't need. And I like the opportunity. Yeah, if you can, add it back in, that's fine. You can do that manually, but let's get a vanilla version. And here's the thing. So why does Microsoft, and I'm just throwing this out there, nobody needs to answer. Why is Microsoft so bent on using numbers? Let's just, you know what? Hey, they've made a line in the sand. Let's just call it Windows. It's the operating system. We don't need a number on it. We don't need the next generation. We just need something that's iterated over time and supported, because even in today's day and age, we're going to find out that most of your vectors for any security problems would have been solved probably 90% of the time by a Windows update that was not done. That's just the way it is. And I don't think that that's going to change, because I think they're on top of a lot of that stuff. It's not 100%, but it's pretty darn close.
Well, my 2 cents to add to that would be is I can understand that probably Microsoft's partners on the hardware side are screaming that 4th generation PCs are still running Windows 10. And they're like, how do you expect us to sell anything? That kind of thing. So there's probably, I don't want to call it collusion, anything, but somewhere along the line, you got to force an upgrade path. You can't make it last forever. But
I did have a client that I basically had, the laptop was originally a Windows Vista computer. And it was I had one back in the day, back in 2007, 8. Yeah, somewhere around there. But somebody had upgraded it and put Windows 7 on it. So I had a Windows 7 key. Believe it or not, and this was a shot in the dark. I was like, because this person was they were like, I just need my stuff off of it. I needed to watch videos or whatever. So shot in the dark, I went and loaded Windows 10 on it, authenticated it with the Windows 7 key. It was fine. And it actually worked really well. I was really, really surprised, because that is a way old processor.
And the sad thing about it is sometimes those machines run better than some of the really cheap junk they put out today, which is the sad thing about it.
So real quick, in your guys' opinions, and Brian, I'll have you go first. At what age should people be replacing their PCs?
I mean, it depends, obviously.
Sure.
But if we're talking about a computer that I recommended, so we're talking i5, 8 to 16 gigabytes solid state drive in it, and a good model, so a Latitude or Optiplex, something like that. As long as it's not heavy use, at least in the last 10 years, 6 to 8 years is fine. Now, in a business, I'm pretty comfortable letting people go out to 5, and I try to encourage people to do extended warranties if we didn't get a 5-year warranty up front. But 5 years in the current climate has worked really well for my clients.
John?
I'll just say ditto to that. I like the 5-year mark.
Okay.
At least it's time to start thinking about it. Or if we're going to hang on to that, let's rotate those old boxes and put them out in the shop or wherever they can go to be less used, that they can, go to a happy place to die. And we put the modern stuff up where it makes people productive, that sort of thing. Or we're not using an 8-year-old PC to run the X-ray machine that the whole office relies on every day to take X-rays, that sort of thing.
That's good. Yeah, I agree with you guys on those aspects. All right, so let's go on. And Brian, just give me your 30-second elevator pitch. What do you do?
Sure. So this is obviously not for our consumption of who's watching this, but it would be something like this. So I provide solutions for small business owners with their computers and networks, and with a strong focus on security and securing and backing up your data.
Very cool. Good. All right. So let's talk a little bit about, do you have any secrets, not personal secrets, just secret tips that might help somebody run their business? Things that, tools or things that you've used in the past that you go, I could not live without this thing.
Yeah, there are a few. So you asked me that ahead of time, so you gave me a little bit of an opportunity to ponder. And since I've been playing around in some of the Facebook forums for whatever, almost a year now, I've gotten an idea of what people do and what people are used to. So I have a few things. This is going to be like, I don't know, this is going to be like a segment on Good Morning America or something. So this one here, I've seen a number of questions even on some Facebook groups. It's called the AMP probe, and I'll put a link to it in the chat. And in here, what you can do, it's super simple. If you end up going into a situation where somebody's battery backup keeps beeping at them, or their computer just keeps shutting off, or strange things are happening, so you can plug this into a power outlet, and it'll tell you what the voltage is at the moment. You can put a 10 amp load, a 15 amp load, or a 20 amp load on it, and then see how much it actually falls from there. So there's been a number of situations where I can think of one where the power in a particular office or in a particular circuit was about 119, and they had a copier in their office. And so whenever that copier would warm up, it would pull their voltage down in that office down to 114, 112, and then the battery backup on the computer would kick on, and then they get confused, and then the battery would wear out in a year or a year and a half. And that's just an example. I think somebody else I saw recently had way too high of power, and you can see that kind of thing on here. So it's the AMP probe. And
that's pretty slick.
Before you continue, I want to jump in on that one. I think a lot of techs overlook how important the power is. I had a lot of troubleshooting aspects. I think that's an awesome tool. I would have loved to have that in my kit. I never even thought of that. What I would do is I'd drag around a UPS with a digital screen on it. If I thought there was a problem, I'd plug it in just to see the voltage level on that little digital screen. You know, just, if you're higher or low. But damn, that's a good tip.
That's slick.
I'd still love to see, this is one thing I don't have in my toolbox yet, and I've seen some copier companies do this in the long past, and maybe a watt box or something could do it, but I'd love to be able to plug something in a circuit and then just have like a live feed or a logging feed of what the voltage does. Have either of you seen that kind of thing?
I think there are plug through things that you can put in between. I don't know that it's whether there's software that you can look at on the whatever's plugged into, or it'd be nice to have something remote that you could check. That I'm not sure of.
We'll have to ask on Facebook.
Yeah.
So another quick little thing, I think John mentioned this, and you know some of this. It's called the Fing box. Not necessarily for commercial use, and I don't always use it in that circumstance, but sometimes I just use it for some basic troubleshooting. So it'll essentially pull what's in the ARP table and show you all the devices, and it'll give you some idea of who the manufacturer is dynamically without having to look it up. I can look up IP addresses real quickly on my phone, but one of the main uses that I have for this is maybe somebody that I don't have a Meraki in, and they're having some internet trouble. I'll plug it into the router and just leave, and I'll get notifications on my iPhone app, the Fing app, whenever things go down or things go up. And I've, even on the weekend, on the July 4th weekend, I have it on a school, and I have it on the inside of the LAN and on the WAN side of the LAN. And it can give me some idea of whether the ISP is down or whether I have some sort of issue going on in the inside of the network. So sometimes whenever I'm just struggling with a network issue, I'll pull out the Fing box. And of course, I'm just starting to play around with demotes too, and making more use of that. After John was mentioning that in a recent chat, I think I might even add that to some of my higher end clients just to give me more visibility and logging and info.
Very cool. I like that.
Same one on that sort of thing would be like the oversee box that some people use as well. That's what we use over at Prodigy Techs.
Yeah, oversee is nice. It does give you a lot of high level and low level stuff to look at. So that's good.
Yeah, in a nutshell, I'd say that Domos is much more powerful in what it can do on a lot of aspects, but it's a lot more complex. So yeah,
with greater power comes greater responsibility. All right, so Brian, let's talk a little bit about your main customer type. What type? We know you're small business, but do you have like and I hate this stupid term, do you have a vertical that you stick with, or you just kind of all over the board?
I like the term niche client. So I do.
If we're in Canada, though, it'd be niche.
Oh, okay. Well, whichever you prefer.
I don't care.
What do they say? Niche.
Niche. There you go.
Since I started out working in that office that I referred to earlier of financial advisors, and I continued that employment all the way until 2008 in a diminishing role. And because of my education in finance, I can really speak the language of a financial advisor, anybody in the finance industry. So that's our niche industry is finance, and but particularly financial advisors. And I can go in and I can strike up a conversation really quickly and talk about everything in their world and how they're running their business and what products they're choosing and how to best protect them and how to best service them well. So that's our specialty.
Very cool. All right. So now, what is your business format? Break fix, MSP,
sure.
All you can eat, project work. How do you run your business, Brian?
Yeah. So I'm gonna go backwards just a little bit to my story. And this is going to touch on something you talked about in the beginning, which is in 2019, I'll say providentially got invited to MSP Unplugged by somebody that I met randomly and through my brother. And he invited me. And so I came, and my wife came with me. And after the conference and after meeting so many of you and so many others, and listening to the talks and making notes, and we decided to take the plunge, to jump and to form this LLC. So I was a one-man band before that, sole proprietor. So we formed Morris Tech Team. My wife Alisa and I are partners in the business, and we hired a full-time technician. And so he's been with us since the fall of 2019. So that was all a direct result from the things I learned and confidence I got from TechCon 2019, Unplugged 2019. And so at that point, we did a lot of kind of, I wouldn't say all you can eat. We did metered time blocks that would expire some, and but not too much in the way of MSP. But after the conference, we started diving into the MSP world, created our stack, and have been selling that and continuing almost every day, trying to narrow that down, trying to figure out how to manage it all, how to untangle it all, how to struggle with so many vendors and so many products. But so we do a mix. We do at this point, we do a lot of prepaid blocks of time where we bill monthly. We do MSP packages that are included in that, but sort of attached. So maybe X amount of dollars per computer, plus a block of time for your company. And then we have a high hourly rate, and unless you sign up for something that's a prepaid hour block that you pay monthly for. So it's a mix. If somebody calls us up, it says, hey, in fact, I had somebody last week call me with a Western Digital MyBook that was wiped. And so we don't turn people like that away. We'll do break fix like that in the hopes of bringing on new clients, finding new managed clients that way. And we'll continue to service those folks at a very higher rate if they want to, and those that want to sign up for managed will do that too. And then we have quite a bit of our clients. A lot of the financial advisors are part of a franchise, and so we can't get our hands on managing the computers. So we do prepaid blocks with them too.
Now, with all the different things you have going on, do you have a set amount that you charge, like on a document somewhere, or do you do a John Dubinsky and just pull it from the air?
It's a great question, Jeff. Right now, we do have a menu of services that has prices on it, but with everything that's going on, we're getting to the point where, some of our clients have maybe items 1, 2, and 3 taken care of by their franchise or by their registered whatever company, and then they need 4 through 10 from us. And so with a lot of our clients now, I'm having to just do custom quotes based on what they need because it's different for many. Now, if it's somebody that just needs the entire everything, if it's just just a business where they're selling whatever bricks out of their yard, for a stupid example, I may have a particular price for that. But if it's something that's some people manage this, then I'll customize it. But yeah.
And I don't think
it's not that hard to pull it out of the air.
No, I was just going to say, John, in all truthfulness, if you think about when you're running your business, and a lot of stuff does change over time, and you got to kind of change with the times, you got to change on the fly. Yeah. I think one of the most important things you have to think about when you're pricing something out, what is going to be worth my time and effort in order to do this? Is it a harder client where they're kind of a pain and maybe you have to charge something like a stupid tax? Or is it going to be a client that's going to be easy peasy and they're going to pay, they're not going to balk at your prices and all that kind of stuff. So all these decisions, I believe a lot of times are made on the fly. I have a menu of services. Do I follow that menu 100% of the time? Absolutely not. I pull stuff out of the air all the time and I go, hey, we're going to charge this for this or whatever, just because I can. And I think that is I think that's a superpower in and of itself. I know a lot of people are saying that, hey, you got to have something solid. And I believe you have to have a foundation, but I don't believe that you need to always build on top of that foundation, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, if some of it depends on your model too. So if you're doing all you can eat, you can't do a flat price because it depends. If you're doing a per computer price model, you might be able to do that. If you're transitioning some clients like I'm doing to a per user model, which many people, many businesses have been transitioning to, that's not as easy to do a menu of services with flat prices because I have some that maybe I include 3 computers per user, some that might just be 1. So yeah, I guess it depends totally on your model. But if it's an all you can eat, there's no way you could make that a flat rate across everybody.
I mean, the most important thing is just know your costs so you're not underpricing, and make sure you don't go too low so that you're not servicing or working hard and not making the money for yourself either.
Yeah.
Something John always says all the time, and I do miss this, is that he will say, charge as much as humanly possible, depending on wherever you're at that time. And there's a lot of truth to that. It's easier to come back down a little bit. It is way harder to go up.
Especially in this environment that we're all in, especially in this last week, which is sometimes we're adding security vendors, 1 a month. And I don't want to go to my clients and ask them for more money 3 times a year. So like you said, having room to kind of play around with switching some of the security vendors throughout time without increasing prices seems to be pretty wise right now.
I think that's a great point. Make sure you got enough margin in there to allow flexibility on your end. to make your job easier and better for the client. I think that's huge.
That's good. I like it. All right, let's talk about what your tech stack is. You talked about you have it. You went into where you have a tech stack. What products and services are you using to take care of your clients?
Sure. Well, it's totally in flux, and I think it probably will be for the next 2 years. But where our foundation is built at the moment is ESET for antivirus and their new sandboxing add-on product to our higher tier clients. And we have added Huntress to the mix just about 2 months ago, and really pleased with them so far. And just really great to see what they did across this past weekend for those of you that are watching this now, with the Kaseya incident and how much they've been helping everybody apparently. So we've added Huntress just as our backup second opinion scanner. So it doesn't do a whole lot of proactive at the moment, but just watching to make sure that ESET is catching everything that it should. Number 3, we use Acronis exclusively for our backup software. So we like them particularly because they can do files and folders to the cloud. They could do image to the cloud. They could do files and folders to local, file and image to local, and Office 365. All of that in one place. And they have this is one thing that really I was excited about when I first signed on with them, and I'm particularly interested to see how they actually perform. But they have something called active protection. So it's a little bit like the ransomware Sentinel that's in Huntress, but they have ransomware Sentinel on your files that are backed up. And if anything is a mass change or a mass ransom or encryption, no matter what it is, it will automatically terminate that process and stop it. So it's not necessarily watching your files per se and looking for bad stuff. It's looking for bad activity on your files. So we'll see if they make any announcement as to whether they had any coverage in some of these recent ransomware incidents. So that's what we use for backup. And we use Synchro for all of our ticketing and our invoicing and for our RMM. And we sync out to QuickBooks Online from there. And then on top of that, we've started to use just in the last month or month and a half or so DNS filter we analyzed a bunch of, I think 2 other products too, but I was really excited with DNS filter and their security focus, and they seem to be doing a lot of things in-house and research. And so we've been just adding that and trying to do some increasing of kind of high security bundles with some of our clients and adding that product. And so that's our major stack at the moment. Oh, we also use Meraki routers for our firewalls, and we only have less than 10 at the moment, but continuing to push those and just really seeing the benefits of having UTMs out there at the moment.
And I know we talked a little bit earlier, obviously, about favorite hardware vendors, but what hardware are you using?
So ever since 2001, it's always been Dell Latitudes and always been Dell Optiplexes, and almost never really shifted away from that. I know I've done a Vostro or 2 over the years and regretted it.
Oh, God.
Like been there, done that. I still feel bad about that.
Save a few dollars and like, sorry about that. But they've been, I mean, except for the GX270, they've just been so rock solid. And maybe the 7390 Latitude, not my favorite, but they're so well engineered. They're generally really easy to work on. Warranties are generally easy to deal with. They send people out to fix things. So Dell Latitudes and Optiplexes, and that's it.
Yeah, I'm still using a 7450, and it's
Yeah.
been a great computer.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've had for many years now.
I don't want to jump in on that stack just to let you know if you have any interest in what Brian's talking about. ESET, Huntress, and Acronis will all be at TechCon, which I think are great vendors to be there.
Thank you,
So
John.
if you use them now, you can have a little fight with them and see what they're coming up with. Or if you're interested, I mean, that's why we got them there.
And I'm going to give a little shout out for ESET in particular, only because it's one of the vendors where I've always, even from a personal standpoint, I've always tested their software over the last 20 plus years. And they have been probably the easiest on any operating system I've ever had at any given time. And they've caught a lot of stuff that others did not back then, McAfee. And some of the others. But so I've always enjoyed them, and they're very channel friendly. And I think if you guys have never checked them out, they've been around for a long time and they've been doing a really good job. So it'll be interesting to get a chance to see them.
Yeah, I think I've been with them for about 13 years. So very happy.
Yeah.
Brian, I got a question. I noticed on your page, or it might have been on your Facebook page for the company, that you're doing battery monitoring.
Yes.
Any secret sauce on that?
I do have secret sauce on that. So that
are you willing to share the sauce or sprinkle some of that sauce?
You know what? I will only do it through DM, and maybe I'll just bring it to TechCon. But TechCon in Chicago, September, be there.
Or we got to have it when we're in a live room. You drop it there. That'll bring some people into the room.
It's all thanks to Ed, our technician, and it's really great. And maybe other MSPs have this. I don't know. But in Synchro, we literally have in the asset column, we have a column, or in the asset page in Synchro, listing the computers, we have a column that says the percentage of battery that's remaining as far as how many milliamp hours are available, like the full charge that it gets to today compared to when it was manufactured. So you can pull some of that manually through I think it's a power CFG command in DOS. But Ed made it so that it pulls it into Synchro, and we onboarded this client that had all laptops except for one. They had 11 or 12 computers maybe a month ago. And I got Synchro RMM on each of them. And within an hour, I was able to pull a report showing them how 3 of their computers were under 50% capacity from when they were brand new. So
slick.
Very cool. I mean, that is a great example of using your RMM for automation to boost a little bit in sales, so on and so forth. So that's a high five there.
Yep. Very cool. All right. So let's go ahead and talk about favorite distributors. Who are you using to get your products?
Yeah. I mean, that's a hard question because I don't want to slam any vendors. And usually whenever I see people in our industry talking about distributors, there's not always a lot of great chat, but Pax8 has been pretty good for us. So I've been pleased. We do all of our Microsoft 365 licensing through them. We do all of our Acronis through them. So we've been happy with them. Other than that, I don't have any, I'm not going to mention who I use at the moment. I don't know. It seems like at the moment, you guys tell me what you have found over the years. It seems like you kind of just maybe have to have a number of places at your fingertips. There's not one place that's going to get you the best deal all the time. Sometimes Amazon is the way to go. Sometimes going directly from Dell is much better than doing anything different. But yeah, I don't have any other preferred distributors at the moment.
Yeah, personally, I'm still a big Amazon fan for a lot of stuff. And when I used to fix a lot more laptops, I would basically go to eBay for parts and stuff like that. There was different vendors that I used over the years, but as far as distributors, I've never really used a mainstream distributor, so to speak. And maybe it's just my business model. It just didn't make any sense for what I was doing.
And I do use one distributor for all the Meraki items, and I've done some Dell computers from there. But sometimes I go look at Dell's website and it's way cheaper or the same price, and I get a 5-year warranty instead of 3.
Nice.
So.
Yeah, I think you still have to
That would
shop
be
around a
my
little bit.
that would be my one big negative with Dell. You know, even if you're in deep with them, like we used to be for a while, I mean, you'd wander over to someplace else, and it's like,
It's
how come
cheaper.
that's $200 less? I mean, not a little cheaper, you know, but you know, I'm like, I'm the partner. I'm on your partner site. You're supposed to be giving me a discount, but I wander over here and I can buy it through a consumer channel, the exact same thing on a website for $200. You know, so you know that's Dell was the hard one for us. So we would usually search around unless it was a larger size order. I throw out a couple. We like Streakwave for the wireless we're using right now, streakwave.com. They do a good job. If the Ubiquity guys know about them for sure. We use them for our Ingenious stuff. What are some other the prosumer type distribution sites like ProVantage usually does a pretty good job. If you're into the Arachnus stuff or you need any other home distribution stuff, allnet.com is good. You know, those are the big ones. Otherwise, Amazon, yeah, you bet. Rocking that Amazon credit card for the 5% with your Amazon account. You know, that's where we'd source all the little stuff for sure.
Very cool.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough to make margins on hardware anymore, it seems. And I think sometimes, clients appreciate it if they're not getting, I don't know, way above what Amazon costs. And I figure we make the money on our service and maybe not as much on the parts.
Absolutely. I think that is a truth. I mean, if you're trying to make your money on your hardware, I think that's a mute point.
Yep. So let's talk a little bit about your favorite tools, hardware, and software. Let's talk about hardware. Do you have any favorite screwdrivers, drills, anything like that you use all the time?
Well, I held one. So I didn't bring it in with me. I use an old Skill screwdriver that's 15 years old. But I'm gonna break this out. This is gonna be part 2 of the show and tell section of the show. So this is, I think we've talked like at TechCon 2019. We talked a lot of Fluke or other things, but this is called it's called Low Voltage Pro. It's from a company called Byte Brothers, and I had never heard of it before. Maybe some of you guys have. I'll stick it in the comments, but it seems like you get a lot of the features from the whatever $2,000, $5,000, $10,000 devices built into this that costs under $400. And so I'm able to do a lot of cable ID work. It has 8 little plugs you can plug in all over the office, and you can ID them through here. You can tone, you can look at all of the 8 wires, obviously. It has just all kinds of features. You can even do coax. But yeah, I'm gonna shout out for the Low Voltage Pro. I can't live without this thing.
Very cool. I've never heard of them, so that's a new one for me. That's good. All right, so let's talk real quick. How do you find your new clients? Obviously, we talked a little bit about sometimes you'll do a break fix job just to get that client in, and I think most of the time, it's getting business clients is still predominantly by word of mouth.
Yeah.
I don't care what anybody says out there. That's just the way it works. Heck, getting a job anymore is predominantly by word of mouth. It's just the way it is. It's the way it's always been. So, but how do you particularly find new clients to, spend your time on?
Sure. I'm not sure that I even have a good answer for you. So back in 2004 and 2008, that's when I did quite a bit of direct mail, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, because I had such a focused niche. It made it pretty easy to say, hey, here are your 5 needs that you have, and I have the solution for all of them, and I speak your language. So that worked really well back then. That's kind of in my mind to move forward, do a little bit more direct mail to people in my niche industry that are close to where I'm located now. But just at the moment, we tried a little bit of Facebook dabbling without really any success. We just joined one of the local chambers of commerce. And so that was maybe just 2 months ago. We're starting to go to some of those events. So those may take a while to show any kind of fruit. And we're not in any of these things to go get clients, to go make money. We're here to make connections and network and get to know people and see if we can help and then to see what happens. I think, This is a question that I hadn't needed to really think about very much until we hired somebody, because before that, for so many years, it was generally a problem of, boy, I have too much work. I can't handle it. How am I going to deal with this? Which would generally be higher prices. And then it would even out over time. But right now, I'm still trying to figure that out. So maybe we'll talk about that at TechCon 2021.
Nice. All right.
I have a question. And you kind of brought this up back at your starting point story, Brian, with direct mail. I mean, what do you guys think? Is that still an option for a targeted mail piece in a certain range? I mean, is that still viable to get new clients?
So, John, let me answer, because I was just thinking about that while he was talking about it. And I was thinking about when I go and get my mail. And I will still go through, because obviously the envelopes, I still open up every envelope. And if there's a postcard or something from a business, or there's even a paper that has, I will briefly look at it. And if it's something I need, whether it's painting, siding, whatever, handyman work, computer repair or whatever, I might throw that to the side if I need it at the time. Or it just, it's more about, I think, brand recognition. So I don't think that is totally lost. I don't think people grab stuff out of their mailbox and just take the whole lot and just throw it in a garbage can. They still go through it. So, is it going to net you a lot of business? I think it's a long-term game.
I guess whenever I do it, I'll report back. But here's what I'm thinking, that most direct mail these days is poorly done. Everything that comes across my mailbox is some sort of bulk mail type of thing. But what if we just wrote a personal letter? It had my signature on it. It's saying, hey, I live in your neighborhood. I just moved here a couple years ago. I really specialize in your industry, and security is on everybody's mind right now. And we're looking to help more business owners out there. You might be trying to do it yourself, but it's a really challenging time in this security landscape, and I can help you. It might actually, think about it in the way that the bad guys work that you and I see all the time, which is they'll send something saying, hey, your credit card has been charged $299. Call this number right away. It's like emotion. Boy, I better call right now. And I mean, I'm a business owner and I'm seeing what's going on in the news. It affects us much more than others, but like, how do I secure my business to keep these bad guys away? Like, I would think we wouldn't be trying to play on their emotions by saying, like, your business is going to go away, your business is going to go away. But hey, we're here, we provide a service where we reduce risk as far as cybersecurity, and we'd love to come and meet with you for free and chat about our services or look at your network, and we'll give you a free report. So I think there's some potential there, but I guess the proof is in actually trying it.
Well, you told a story I could just tell, because that's exactly what I did back in the day. I took one of my techs. We basically just started really close and just sort of drove around and literally just sort of pointed at businesses that we would want to work with. That sounds like a good company. And, we were already doing dental and ortho. So we just went around to all the closest dental or ortho. We created, a mailing piece that was in a larger envelope, put some stuff in there about dental stuff, made it look really professional. It was pretty high cost per envelope to send out. But like you said, it was very personalized, very targeted. And, that was way back at the beginning. And, when I sold my business, I still had probably every customer I ever got from that mailing practice. So that was, I think that's very effective.
And
Plus, then you're sort of choosing the clients you want versus just blindly shooting out 10,000 generic things.
I remember there's at least 2 times, this goes on the long-term portion of what you said, Jeff. I remember at least 2 people over the years where they pulled out my 2004 letter that I sent to them, and they still had it. And, maybe I didn't work for them for another 4 or 6 years, but they're like, oh, I kept this. I even made some notes on it.
That's good. I do that sometimes. I just had one from a local car shop and some coupons and stuff like that. It was in a little colorful postcard. It's in my drawer. So the next time I need service, that's probably where I'm going. So I think it still works. And if you need something, it's going to be more important. But I think some people do file things away, because I do all the time, just in case.
And I want to circle that back to the elevator pitch thing too, that, if you're going to do that, you finally do get in front of somebody on that quick call, make sure you have that pitch ready, because that's, that's part of that whole marketing thing as well.
All right, let's go ahead and we got a few more minutes here. Let's real quick, Brian, let's go through. So in your business, is there anything that did not work, and what did you learn from that?
Yeah. So my first thing that I had in mind was the one thing that was a big mistake was whenever I was making an image of somebody's computer to put it on an SSD, but I went backwards and I overwrote everything, and that was a big mistake. But anyway,
been there, done that.
Just a little bit of that was a bad day. But I don't know, things that I would change, things that I wouldn't do. I guess not in particular. One thing that I think I would have done sooner, although I think the timing was all perfect and right, but hiring another technician that I could train, doing it alone for so many years was so difficult and so stressful and difficult to get away. So getting a network of people around you, whether it's on Facebook, whether it's other places that can help you get to that point where you have a tech, where you have an admin person, which I don't at this point, where you can have a little bit more space, where you can push some things off and delegate. I think if I could have figured it out, or if I had advice for somebody else, do that quicker.
Very cool. All right. So the last question I have for you is, what is one thing that you did in your business that made a great improvement?
Well, it goes full circle. So it goes adding on the PSA. I could just bring it down to that. Buying Synchro alone was the greatest improvement that I've ever done. Having a ticketing system, adding that RMM with some remote management. So just the ability to tell somebody to install the RMM agent and then say, all right, boop, install ESET, boop, install Acronis, boop, install Huntress, install DNS filter. Like the things that I used to do before that are hard to imagine. And where I didn't have any control, I had a little bit of visibility in the ESET panel as far as whether computers were updating and whether they were checking in. But boy, the difference that a ticketing system where I can track, where I can communicate with people, it's all in one place, has just been, it's been incalculable, the difference that it's made having that ticketing system in the RMM.
All right, so let's go ahead and we're going to take just a real quick break, and then I want you guys to gather any lasting thoughts, and we're going to kind of get on out of here with any of your info and how to contact you. Before we do that, if you'd like to support this show and you're getting something out of it, I encourage you to go to patreon.com/MSP Unplugged. And right now I want to thank our newest Patreon supporter. That's Eric Sheldon. And I definitely want to also continuously I want to thank those that continuously support us, because without you, hey, it wouldn't be worth doing. So we got to have the people in the interaction. What that gets you is, for about $1 a show, it gets you into a secret Facebook group that you can be a part of, that you can ask questions, whether it be a new question, a newbie question, and you're not made fun of. People are very kind, and they just answer questions and try to be helpful instead of going, hey, stupid, what are you in this business for if you don't know that? We don't tolerate any of that stuff, and we've not had to do it yet, but we have a zero tolerance policy. If you're just going to be one of those type of people, we're just going to boot you right on out of the group, because we really don't need it. And it's a great place. And I know John interacts in there all the time. And he's constantly spanking me to try to get more involved in there. But I do actually, I do actually look at everything that's in there. And there's a lot of great interaction going on. And a lot of times the questions are already answered way before I ever get in there. But a lot of good content. John brings a lot to the Facebook group as of late, with just different things that are going on in industry, things to keep up on that people can, look at and get some more information on. So we definitely appreciate all those that are supporting us. Again, just go to patreon.com/MSP Unplugged. Sign up today. All right. So, Brian, it was great having you on the show today. And
two final questions for Brian, if I can.
Yeah, go ahead.
One initial question, and then depending on his answer, we'll see if I'm going to be nice with the second one. So, Brian, what college football team do you support in Pennsylvania?
I'm sorry, nothing. I got nothing for you.
Any college? If you had to choose.
No Penn State. I'm sorry, nothing.
All right, that's safe enough.
The pros, the Steelers are.
All right, I'll let that slide. Well, and I just wanted to give Brian kudos. He's been in all the live rooms we've had so far on the MSP Unplugged group. Huge and significant contributor to that. So I just wanted to give him a shout out and just a little notice to everybody that those live, what we'll call them rooms, they call them in Facebook, we've been doing. I mean, I've really enjoyed them and learned a lot. So
they've been good.
Yeah, anybody else want to jump in? We're looking forward to that.
Yeah, tell them a little bit about the next one that's coming up, John.
Well, that's a great question. We haven't really defined the topic, but Brian brought up one we wanted to discuss. And if I look at my notes, what did we want to do, Brian?
Well, it's either going to be, I would think, one of the few of these things. We talked about in the last meeting about onboarding. So if you get a new client, how are you doing it? It's something that's a big challenge for me because I just have a piece of paper. I'm writing down some, I'm running the RMM on it. And then I'm kind of writing down who it belongs to and like, are you charging for it? Do you have a system? Do you have a form? How are people doing it? Best practices. And then the other thing would be if now or later, what additional security layers are you adding on after all of the things that have been going on lately, and what's changing? And are you staying the same, thinking that things are good, or are you making huge changes to your stacks? I'm struggling in that area badly right now.
Very good.
Well said, Brian. Thank you.
All right, John, I'm going to throw it over to you. John, if people want to get more information about you and where you're at and where they could contact you, talk to you, all that kind of stuff, where would they go?
I hate to say it, but it's true. Let's meet me on Facebook, MSP Unplugged. Love to see everybody there.
Awesome, man. Glad to have you on the show today. It's been a blast. And Brian, if anybody want to contact you and get a hold of you, where would they go?
Yeah, so head to the website, morristechteam.com, and find me there, or I'm on Facebook as well, and the MSP Unplugged group, and just search for Morris Tech Team, Brian Morris, and you'll find me on Facebook.
Awesome. Thanks for coming out today. Really appreciate it.
It was a pleasure. Thank you.
Kudos. Thanks, Brian.
All right, come join us every Tuesday at noon Eastern. You can watch live and hang out in the chat room over on youtube.com/MSP Unplugged. Subscribe and hit that notification button so you never miss an episode. You can also use your favorite podcasting app to take us with you wherever you go. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time on MSP Unplugged.